Please take a seat, everyone. We're getting started. Oftentimes we hear in healthcare, life sciences, it can be very complicated. Molecules, engineering, computer science. So what we want to do today is kind of bring healthcare technology to life. And our first speaker in this segment here is Duncan Orrell-Jones. And Duncan is the CEO and founder of Camino Robotics, a company that manufactures a smart mobility walker, for example, for seniors or elderly or those that are disabled and cannot get around the same way that they used to. Before founding Camino Robotics, Duncan was the SVP of Nintendo's network business, as well as SVP of Disney Interactive. So everyone, please give it up for Duncan Orrell-Jones.
Thank you, Zoom. Is this working? Yeah, good. Hi, I'm Duncan, CEO, co-founder of Camino Robotics, and this is our product. I'm going to go through some slides and talk a little bit about the why, like how did we end up deciding to make this product, and then do a little demo. There's only so much demo I can do in this space, of course. Okay, great. So Camino, we're still seed stage, so we're not actually out on market yet. We're getting very close. We have people pre-ordering and what have you, but we've not actually released it yet. We ultimately looked at this problem of mobility. I'd watched my parents my father had Parkinson's for 20 plus years. My mother had issues with mobility, and was just kind of startled by, we had resources. We could go get any kind of device. You scour the world, and the devices are available. These stupid things with tennis balls, or maybe it's got four wheels. And so I spent a bunch of time thinking about this problem and started looking into the data behind it. And it's really startling, the number of people who have challenges with mobility. 28 million people over 65 have reports mobility challenges. 55% say that they fear falling. 30% of those fall every year. And people are generally falling multiple times. You end up with this huge cost just related to falls. But it's not even just falls, right? Folks who are using walkers tend to have a whole bunch of comorbidities. They suffer from conditions that result in them needing a walker, or by being in the zone of using a walker and the given current walkers don't move very much, they end up in a situation where they're suffering from conditions that then you end up in this sort of sedentary spiral. The conditions that ultimately again have that come along with multiple comorbidities. So the cost associated with people using walkers is really high. Meanwhile, what we know about walking is that it's this antidote, right? It's extraordinary what impacts walking can have in conditions in general, particularly for elderly populations, so cardiovascular risk, blood pressure, etc. But beyond just what walking can do to improve health, it's also looking at gait is actually a really interesting indicator of underlying health. It's considered to be the sixth vital sign of geriatrics, predictor of fall risk, and actually even just gait speed alone is really highly correlated with health outcomes. So meanwhile, these are the types of devices we're giving to these people who've got really high healthcare costs. They're ugly looking, stigmatizing. They're not easy to fold. I mean, we've got baby strollers, we've got all kinds of things in our lives that are not touched by design and technology, and these things are trapped in time. Why don't they have safety features? Why aren't we using these things as a data platform to better understand the conditions that these people have? So this is what we've designed. We started thinking about it in terms of a less stigmatizing device, right? How do we have something that conveys activity versus disability, right? So we've seen data, right, that shows that someone using a Nordic ski pole gets viewed very differently than someone using a cane, and they feel different. So why aren't we giving people devices that actually give them the inspiration to start moving more? Simple little things like, I watched my dad, we'd always have to hold the water bottle for him because there's no place to put it. I mean, really, really dumb little things that get in the way of life, but essentially when you have to have a walker. But beyond the design and the look of it, the technology in it centers around three buckets, right? So these are populations that struggle with walking, right? So the energy to actually move is difficult, but let alone the idea we're now asking someone to push a wheelbarrow around. So everyone's zipping around on e-bikes. Why aren't we putting power into these things so that the device is essentially neutralizing its own weight? So if you go up a hill, it's automatically adjusting the boost, so it's easy to walk up the hill. You go down the hill, it's automatically braking for you. You're not having to use your arthritic hands. So that's what we call Camino Assist, helping people walk more. Then there's this idea of helping people walk better. As little as a 10% increase in variability in your gait can double the risk of falling. right? So why aren't we looking at gait data and better understanding how to help people walk more? So we've got this Camino AI, which is really about actionable insights. So embedded cameras, looking at gait, fusing that in with the accurate data we get off the wheels, so we can understand what's going on with the patient. And then finally, there's Guardian. So safety features, which is things like you take your hands off the device, the brakes go on automatically, it won't roll away from you. We put headlights on it so you can see your way to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And we've got a whole list of things that now you've got power in the device, you've got motors and you've got computers. There's a whole list of things we can start to unlock, which will happen over time. Many of them will focus on safety. So here's a quick image of basically we've got these two cameras. You've got embedded computer vision inside the device. We're not pushing video around. It all happens on the device. And you can see what's happening there. We're estimating the locations of the key nodes on the body and then fusing it all together into a really accurate picture of what's going on with gait. What do we collect then? We collect accurate data on what the person's actually doing in terms of activity, how fast they're walking, how much they're walking, and then we collect all these gait analytics. And what it allows us to do is it provides sort of monitoring essentially over time. So we're not thinking that we're going to dump a whole bunch of data on the user or healthcare providers. It's really about synthesizing all that data into really simple things like red flags going off saying, hey, we see a change that might be material to some health issue. So it's a combination of both longitudinal things that might be about rehab and then looking for acute events that we can essentially raise a flag for a healthcare system so that they can go knock on the door and figure out what's going on with Betty. How do we package it all up? This is literally the design of the consumer app that's coming out with it. So there's a phone mount on there, right? You put the thing on there, you can actually see how fast you're walking. We hear from patients saying, hey, my doctor's told me to walk faster, but I don't know if I'm doing it or not. Well, you've got it in your car. Why don't you just stick your phone there and attach it with Bluetooth, and it tells you how fast you're walking, how far you've gone. Very, very simple. The roadmap of many more things we're going to do around gamification to try and get the people to move more, right? Have the app be sort of a stimulation, social elements and what have you. But in the short run, it's very simple. The idea is to provide motivation and feedback to the end user. We provide information back to the adult daughter, typically, so that the adult daughter knows what's going on. And they get peace of mind, etc. On the right-hand side, this is very, very sort of early stage view of a dashboard. The most important thing on the dashboard is the fact that it's red and green, right? It's not all the data. It's really just about the red and green. The idea is that we provide sort of remote monitoring feedback to the payers and providers, allows them to get to initiate early interventions. And we're in discussions right now with one of the major healthcare systems in the area, who's super excited about the idea we're giving real data, right? So they're trying to figure out all the time how to intervene to save money on cost and improve outcomes, but they don't get much real data, right? The simple things for people who are going through rehab are things like go into a clinic and have someone do a tug test or something like that, and then basically it's useless, right? What we're actually providing is real world data from the real world. So that's the pitch. I'll just open it up and show you real quick because I'm almost out of time. So I'll have to yell loudly. So this is it. This is how small it is. It's basically carrying my big size. The idea is it's actually unfolded by the user, so they should be sitting down. You just open the legs up, you push down that, open it up. That's ready to go. The safety features in there, like if I'm pushing on it and I try and move the latches, it won't go down. You have to actually take the weight off the thing, you can adjust the handle height. It functions as a mechanical walker. Put the brakes on, the battery dies, it still functions as a mechanical walker. Press the button though, it powers up, it's now on, you've heard that noise, that's the parking brake going on. Touch the handles, parking brake goes off, it's boosting now all the time. Unfortunately, there's no hills in it. You can see the headlights come on because it's just dim enough in here for them to come on. Take the hands off, the parking brake goes on. It's difficult to do. It won't climb stairs, but slope there to show you how you go up the slope and it feels magical. And if you're fit and healthy, you don't really care about that. But if you're frail, all of a sudden the thing, it feels like it's pulling you up the hill. It literally feels like pulling you up the hill, even though we're not pulling up the hill because there's no one heavy. Anyway, enough said.
Yeah, open up the. We're going to do a couple of questions. Yeah, just me first. We'll have a couple of questions for Duncan. Anyone has? Oh, back in the back.
Thank you. What are your thoughts around, or how do you think about technology used in the elderly population, be it charging the devices or handling a Bluetooth app?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's not easy, right? But you'd be surprised how many people we speak to. Frankly, particularly the early stage people will have buying a device like this who are using smartphones and what have you. But we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we make that simple. So, for example, connecting it to the internet, it's magically simple. You just turn the device on, you go to the app and say, I want to connect it. It generates a QR code. You hold it by the cameras and it's connected. As simple as that, right? So you don't have to know much about technology. Basically, the design conceit was there's one button. There's no screens, there's no interfaces, there's no settings. You just turn it on and it works. So that was our version of it. Ultimately, we recognized that older adults, many of the people who use these walkers don't want to see technology, right? They like the idea of a three-legged stool in the kitchen, like something really, really simple, which is why we designed it to essentially look like an existing rollator. We had all kinds of crazy ideas. We were speaking to Caltech at one point, the robotics people around doing exoskeletons. It's like, no. It's got to be really, really simple, look like the current thing, and just make it easier to live with and easier to walk with. Yes?
Can they sit?
Yes, I didn't demo it, but there's a seat back that clips on super quickly. There's a the cup holders and things like that. There's a pad on the top of it. We didn't build a seat, but the reality is people get tired, so they want to sit down. So we make it just comfortable enough. There's a little portable seat back that goes on there. Yeah, which by the way, no other devices do. It's bolted on there, so you try and fold these things up and put them in a trunk. They take up half the trunk. They're cumbersome, not only ugly but cumbersome. So we've made it so that it's modular. We haven't got it yet, but if you need an oxygen tank, we'll sell you a thing that clips on the front. Right, there's banjos down the hole. You can just put your oxygen tank right on there, so you don't have to. You see people strapping them on with bungee cords and things. It's completely crazy.
All right, we have time for one more question. All right, I'll come over here.
What is the cost associated with it?
The cost? Yeah, I didn't talk about the business side of it. Our ultimate aim here is obviously to be in the more the B2B side and have the device be covered, right? So the current DME reimbursements are really low. So it'll be a consumer purchase early on. We hope to be able to charge as little as $2,000, but we're saying $3,000 right now. We ought to be able to get it down to $2,000 and maybe below when we scale. But I'd rather start at home, move down than the other, which and find ourselves upside down on the economics. But we're getting really a lot of interest from some big healthcare providers who are sitting there saying, oh my God, what this data can do for us is huge, right? And a few $1,000s, if someone's going to fall, what's the cost of a fall, right? So, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, is that the device is really covered. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Tom Stevens, and Tom is the CEO and founder of Tombot, a company. I'm going to make some room for this table here. Of Tombot, a company that develops a first robotic animal companion for those that can no longer live, for example, with live pets like their dog or their cat. Before founding Tombot, Tom built out ACT litigation services into one of the world's leading e-discovery companies, and Tom has over 35 years of experience in the high-tech field, as well as the health technology field. So please take it away, Tom.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Go Bruins, UCLA undergrad. So I'm Tom Stevens, CEO and co-founder of Tombot, and this is Jenny. Jenny is a fully interactive robotic emotional support animal, and she'll be the first to be both an FDA medical device and a remote safety and health monitoring or management platform. So I've been working on teaching her the 8-clap. Hasn't quite gotten there yet, but maybe in time. So as Zoom was sharing, I've been in the high-tech industry for about 35 years. My two Tombot co-founders and I built a prior startup into one of the world's largest litigation automation companies. We were successfully acquired in 2011, which gave me the freedom to think about other things. Unfortunately, that same year, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia, and I had to impose a lot of really difficult decisions upon her. The first was forcing her to accept a live-in caregiver. My parents divorced when I was a teenager. My mother never did remarry and prided herself on living independently. So moving into caregiver really was a huge invasion of her privacy and took away a lot of her independence. Second really tough decision was taking away her car keys. She not only went from going anywhere anytime she wanted to having to ask permission and gain assistance to go anywhere. But neither of those decisions impacted her the way taking away her dog did. The dog somehow sensing my mother's displeasure with the caregiver, started growling when the caregiver entered the room. My mom would laugh and pet the dog, reinforcing the behavior, and pretty soon the caregiver, it was funny away from the scene. Pretty soon the caregiver couldn't move safely in the house. So fortunately, we had some very close family friends that wanted to make a new home for the dog, and it's still enjoying a great life there. But my mother was devastated. Every day is, where's my dog? Why can't I have my dog? When am I getting my dog back? So just to salvage my relationship with my mother, I started looking around for substitutes for live animal companions. She hated everything that I brought home for her. So I realized that there was a gap in the market. That launched me on a multi-year research and education journey, which culminated in a master's from Stanford, another former Pac-12 place. And I learned that my mom's story along the way was shared by tens of millions of other seniors with dementia and about 1 billion people in total who suffer from some form of serious mental health adversity, and many of whom, like my mother, cannot safely or practically care for a live animal. We launched Tombot in 2017 to serve these people. My experience of caring for my mother taught me a great deal about not only the impact on Alzheimer's and other causes of dementia on the patient or user, but also the entire ecosystem around that person. You know, for a value proposition, we needed to make the life better of the user, but we also had to have a positive impact on the family and professional caregivers as well as medical providers. And we had to go where that person lives. Seniors make up a significant population of our hospital inpatients. About 30% of hospital inpatients have at least one mental or substance use disorder that's part of their admitting diagnosis. Mental and substance use disorders increase length of stay, they elongate wound healing time, and create very challenging care scenarios in many cases. So we need to be of value to them and as well as the individual. So our go-to-market patient is a senior with dementia. Seniors with dementia suffer from something called behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia. These include loneliness, depression, anxiety, in my mother's case, hallucinations and violent anger. Doctors historically have used psychotropic medications to manage these symptoms. Psychotropics include anti-anxiety, antidepressant, antipsychotic medications, and not only do these medications turn seniors into zombies, some of them carry grave health risks, particularly from the antipsychotics. So this whole space is looking for alternatives to the pharmacological approach for managing these challenging behaviors. This is a very well-researched area. Over 150 peer-reviewed studies to date show that where a senior with dementia can form a robust emotional attachment to an object, traditionally that object is a human baby doll or a stuffed animal, that senior gets a great deal of relief from their behavioral and psychological symptoms and a corresponding reduction in need for the psychotropic medications. The problem is very few seniors, including my mother, have any interest, I'm boring you, have very little interest in the traditional objects. Research on robotic animals show they significantly outperform the traditional objects and have the added benefit of reducing pain and the need for pain medications like opioids. The problem there, however, is the existing technologies are either simple children's toys that are not very desirable, not very effective on the low end, or prohibitively expensive robots. In the lower right-hand corner of the screen is an excellent robot out of Japan called Paro. If any of you are fans of the show Masters of None, it's been featured on that. But it costs over $6,000. Most senior care facilities can't afford one, let alone individuals who need one for themselves in order to form that emotional bond. So I was armed with this information when I launched the company, and the first thing I wanted to understand is why any of these products might work in the first place. And what I learned is that they actually have positive changes on the brain's neurochemistry, and what's thought to be hardest at work is oxytocin. Many of you may be familiar with oxytocin, sometimes called the love drug. but it's also fundamental in reducing stress, reducing anxiety, and it interacts with our own internal opioid system. So it's a highly effective pain reliever. It's seen predominantly in mothers giving birth to babies or breastfeeding, parents bonding with adopted children, but it's also seen in humans interacting with live animals. Most of the research there has been done with dogs. The problem is most of these relationships are not safe, practical, or readily available for people like my mom. So our challenge became to design a better emotional attachment object, one that consistently stimulates the production of endogenous oxytocin, but would also be affordable at a price that most people could afford. We did 3 rounds of customer studies with over 700 seniors with dementia. We worked with Georgia Tech and the University of Illinois to design our coding methodologies. And we tested and confirmed 3 major hypotheses. The first one is seniors with dementia would strongly prefer objects that move over objects that don't move, which helped me understand why my mom had no interest in the stuffed animals or human baby dolls that I was bringing home for her. Secondly, they prefer objects that have realistic appearance as opposed to toy-like or cartoon-like. Cartoon-like, think Disney, so oversized facial features, big nose, oversized eyes. Also interesting, during this round, we learned that most seniors preferred the idea of a robot over a live animal. Pet ownership rates peak when we're in our 50s and fall by about 50% per decade thereafter. Many of these people had already made a decision not to have a live animal due to the cost. Americans spend about $2,500 a year on a dog. The care burden, many people just want the independence. And then lastly, they don't want to grieve for the loss of another pet. But thirdly, and most importantly, they want realistic appearances. We had no idea how to do that, so we reached out to the animatronics community and teamed up with Jim Henson's Creature Shop. We like to say Jenny here is Kermit the Frog's youngest sister. And with their help, we're building what we believe to be the world's most realistic robotic animals, scientifically designed to stimulate emotional bonding through the production of oxytocin. And then once in place, we become a unique platform for monitoring that senior for safety and health. And I'll wrap there and take questions. Thank you.
Way in the far back.
Any questions?
How much?
How much? So we did some market studies with an organization called the Schlesinger Group, who's one of the healthcare industry's leading market research companies, and they showed that up to 56% of our target customers would pay up to $2,000. We're not sure exactly what price point we're going to be at because we're still not in production. As soon as we make our first large-scale supply chain orders, we'll know that. We want to make about 50% gross margin on our first product to market. But we're modeling this at... We're modeling this. Yes, you're much more expensive than this. We're modeling this at $1,500. If I can get that down $100 or $200, I would prefer to do that. But we have demand curve that shows us selling a lot of robots even at $1,500.
Hi, question here in the back. Hi. So I work in the provider space. I'm a physician by background, do a lot of administrative work. Look, I mean, everything's about insurance, right? I mean, most people cannot afford $1,500 even. So have you talked, if you're FDA approved, have you talked to Medicare, and, where are you on the cycle?
So great topic. If I may give you a slightly long-winded answer to that. We're both a B2C wellness device as well as an FDA medical device. For B2C, our beachhead customer is a senior who lives at home, cared for by an unpaid family member that has household income of at least $100,000. Sure. That's 37% of U.S. households. They can easily afford the product at $1,500. Okay. Secondly, in the medical world, there is already a CPT code where the provider can use this as a neurological therapeutic feedback device, and we're working with CMS to get this qualified as durable medical equipment. But from just a purely financial standpoint, we have a huge backlog of orders already from private pay.
Wonderful.
We'll have one more question. All right. Oh, thank you, Caroline.
I have a son who is nonverbal autistic, 34 years old, and we had a Pomeranian, and they were the best of friends. And he used to sit for hours, and the dog would lick his arm. And my son is now in a group home, but we are just desperate to have like Jenny or Tombot, and we just are so hopeful. We've been on the waiting list for quite a while.
Sorry. So we thank you so much for sharing. First of all, we just heard that previous panel talk about financing. Not one of those companies is telling their LPs or their stakeholders that they're going to jump into the robotic animal game. It's very, very challenging to raise money for this. Fortunately, our very good friends at Wavemaker 360 Health, our lead institutional investor, as well as our other investment partners have financed the company. And so we're actually very close to shipping these. About 50% of our pre-order and waitlist customers are actually on behalf of people with autism, somewhere on the spectrum. And for many of those people, they also have pets at home, but those pets can't go everywhere necessarily. There's a lovely video of a mother and son on our YouTube channel where they talk about the son has pets at home, but can't take them to the dentist, can't take them to other types of appointments. And these are terribly traumatizing experiences for him. Once again, there are about 1 billion people in total that suffer from serious mental health adversities. With Jenny, she was designed initially for seniors with dementia. We do believe she'll be effective in the autism world, but we'll continue to develop more realistic products, greater monitoring capability, and ultimately have versions that walk so people can take out the pet and go play fetch at the park and stimulate social engagement, get some activity with a walker. But we hope to be in service to your son and others like him. Thank you so much for sharing.